Sometimes it blows my mind how much things have changed yet managed to stay exactly the same over the last 20 years. Oh sure, it's easy to point and laugh at some kid being a dumbass on TikTok or YouTube, but remember, the guys before us gave us the real world in Jackass. Being stupid on camera isn't a new thing. The only thing that's new is more cameras. And back in the day, early 2000s MTV was the hub for people to do stupid shit on camera. However, in between all the road rules and Viva la Bam. Yeah, Gen Z ruined society alright. We got Clone High, the first major brainchild of Phil Lord and Chris Miller, where multiple historical figures are cloned and put into a high school to do generic high school stuff, like run for class president or prepare for standardized test. Except everyone's on raisins and allowed to do whatever they want because it's actually a secret government experiment to take over the world. But that's not the weird part. The weird part is how this show manages to be 20 years ahead of the curve and a perfect time capsule of the early 2000s at the same time. And that might not make sense, but remember, these are the guys that made the Lego Movie good and had Ice Cube tase Jonah Hill in the dick. They work on an entirely separate plane of existence from us. Cemented further by the fact that some of the stuff here ranges from aging amazingly to aging so bad it comes back around to being good. How does that even happen?
It is my professional opinion as a rock star and a licensed doctor that this student is suffering from malnutrition.
That's how. Marilyn Manson comes in to sing a song about the food pyramid. It should be horrifically uncomfortable just to see this weird Tim Burton ass man, but because he's played as a joke, it ends up being fucking hilarious. Then you got Tom Green reminding you Tom Green exists, and depending on how old you are, you might not even know who Tom Green is. I barely know who Tom Green is, but it doesn't matter because then you got Jack Black coming in to sing a rock opera. This was 2002. There was no Kung Fu Panda. There was no Nacho Libre. Homie didn't even have School of Rock yet. And here he is, turning a mid at best episode into a masterpiece because Jack Black. All while having historical figures parody 90s teen dramas complete with 90s ass music that my friend had to dig out from the depths of the internet. Granted, we could have just watched what was on HBO Max or Max, whatever, but it's not the same, man. If I'm gonna watch an episode full of PSA topics straight out of the Michael Jordan McDonald's ad, I might as well have the accurate music to go with it. But even beyond the 90s cheese, this just has some of the funniest jokes I've ever heard in a sitcom, all while having a continuous and at the very least semi-intriguing narrative the whole way through. But all that begs the question, how? Just how did this fail so hard that two of the most influential creators in Hollywood had to wait for this to become a meme before bringing it back? Well, one thing for me personally, I wanted to hit Lincoln over the head with a shovel. I know that sounds all kinds of fucked up, but trust me, watch it and you'll understand. But more importantly...
Dude, that was not cool. Not cool. And because of that, I'm only paying you $4.
This was it, wasn't it? This was the scene that made 150 people starve themselves and canceled one of the funniest animated shows of all time. I mean, that and the mixed reviews. And the incredibly low ratings, but you know what? That's because the early 2000s sucked ass. The early 2000s couldn't handle the Lord Miller style, and the fact that this got cancelled shows that 20 years ago, things were even worse than they are now. Like what? Would you rather each and every person act exactly how they would have back in their time? Oh, I'm sure Gandhi would have done great listing off his political and spiritual ideals on the fucking music television channel with Beavis and Butthead. Personally, I like the idea that these guys wouldn't act the same out of their original time, and that environment does play a role in how teenage versions of famous people would act, but perhaps even more important than that, how was Gandhi the only one people had an issue with? They made a saint into a nihilistic atheist who thought she was going crazy when she was hearing the word of God. They made a symbol of America into a simp in every meaning of the word. Jesus Cristo hurt himself with a nail gun, and Cleopatra was grinding on Ashley Angel from O-Town. And people apparently really care about Cleopatra these days, but Gandhi having ADHD and being used for comedy relief? Nah, way too much for the early 2000s. Y'all wanna talk about cancel culture, but I've seen half a dozen memes of Gandhi nuking the planet into the next Stone Age, but 20 years ago people couldn't handle a comedy comedy show? At least they made him funny. Lincoln got the fucking shaft, man. But you know what? It doesn't matter, because things are finally the way they should be. This shit is back. 2 whole ass seasons confirmed, and it absolutely deserves to be back. Does it suck to not have Gandhi back? Oh sure, but everything Lord and Miller touch turns into gold, and they've been trying to get this back up for 20 years. So y'all better watch this shit on repeat, cause I swear to God, if we live in a world where Max makes more seasons of Velma than this show, then we have truly failed as a species. Well, I guess this technically counts as a review of the first season, huh? 8. At least an 8. Good show, go watch it.